the street and seeing how you drag your feet. Walk a mile or two or three, walk until you can't be seen. If you needed nothing more, why'd you leave an open door? Haven't you been here before?
Hello, and this is Aaron at Popaholic, and today I'm talking to Mike Gent of the Figs. How are you doing today, Mike?
Good, Aaron. How you doing?
Great. Let's talk about your new album, the anthology, called 1,000 People Grinning. I was going to ask first I was going to comment that this is sort of a great primer to people who don't know anything about the Figs or the band. But then again, when I hear the word anthology, it always sounds like that's the last album you're going to make. Is this the end of the Figs, or you guys have a lot more in you?
Well, it could be both, a primer and the end. I don't know. We had the idea last year that we wanted to make kind of a compilation to, give to people that weren't, or sell to people that weren't familiar with the band, kind of have a good sampler of what we've done the last, couple decades. So, we thought the time was right. It's the 25th anniversary of the band, leading up to next August, beginning this past August in 2012.
Okay.
We just thought it was a good time to do that.
Cool. One thing over here at Power Popaholic, we are obviously huge Mike Viola fans, and I know he's been connected with the Figs at a time or two, and you actually worked on one of his best albums, Hang On Mike. Is there any new collaborations coming in the future?
No.
Okay.
We haven't worked with, Pete and I haven't worked with Mike for years.
Oh, okay.
I was on Lurch.
Oh, you were?
Lurch. I sang on Lurch, yeah. And then right around the time after Mike finished Lurch, he did this Mandy Moore record that I also sing on, that came out right after Lurch came out. And that was the last time I think I worked with Mike, was on the Mandy Moore record.
Oh. You never know.
I would like to work with Mike again. It's always really fun.
Yeah.
He's on some of our records. Now, I noticed on the site that there's not one review of any Figs record.
Oh, you got me there. Got me there. The Figs are always sort of hard for me to categorize. At one point, I was like, well, is this power pop? Is this punk? Is this alternative rock? And even though I had your last album, I actually bought The Day Gravity Stopped. I didn't get a chance to review it on the site, but
well, I'll tell you, on that record, there's way more power pop than punk.
That's true.
On most of our records, I would say. I mean, maybe the earlier records were a little bit harder.
Yes, definitely. I think pretty much by 2004, you guys had the pop thing down pat. You were really good at it, and actually, this will, we'll take care of the review as far as that's concerned. I also heard that you do a lot of work at Ice Station Zebra. You record there with, and does Ducky help you out a little bit?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, that's where I first started working there, was on Lurch, because Mike was. Ducky's studio is right, literally 5 minutes behind my house. I could walk there if I needed to.
Awesome.
So when Mike was making Lurch, he had me come over, and I had met Ducky, at a show or something before that, and I had known about his studio, but I had never been there. And I went over and hung out, did some singing on Lurch, and started thinking about making a record on my own, and approached Ducky with the idea, and we made that record, my last solo record I made with Ducky. And after, like I said, I worked on the Mandy Moore record, and then I went in and finished the recent Figs record,
right,
the double record at Ducky's. Ducky mixed it and did a lot of work on that record. And then last year started working on another solo record with Ducky. So I've done a bunch of work over there. I also recorded some stuff with Graham Parker at Ducky's house.
Wow.
So I've used Ducky a lot, and he's helped me a lot.
Yeah,
Great drummer, great engineer. He's done a lot of great stuff.
He's a wonderful jack of all trades. Let me get to one of the questions I was going to ask. How does it feel not having to, sort of stay with a label either on purpose or because you don't want to have to answer to anyone?
Well, we haven't really had to answer to anyone in a long time, and even when we were on the labels where you think we had to answer somebody, we really didn't, which was, maybe sometimes looking back at the time, we probably needed somebody to answer to. As far as switching the labels around, yeah, I mean, I think that it was just our path. That was, if you look at Graham's discography, he's been on many labels as well. Right. Whether it's over in the U.S. or in the U.K., he's been on a ton of different labels, he's just that kind of artist, and that's the kind of band we are.
All right.
It's rare. It's rare when you see, somebody who's stuck with the same label for, even the big guns. And there's only, a handful of people I can think that have been on the same label their entire career.
Right. Usually that's those.
Bruce Springsteen being one of them.
Yeah.
Or Billy Joel or something like that. But even Dylan switched labels for a second.
Right.
But it hasn't. I don't think it really has mattered to us in the big picture of things. We just try to get the records out and available. They're there. If people want to come and find them, they've always been, there somewhere. Especially with the internet,
Oh, definitely. So, getting to the music itself, though, who influenced you to get into music in the beginning?
Probably my dad the most. He was very into rock and roll music, and I just, from the moment I can remember things, that was the main thing, was always hearing it in my house growing up. So that was probably the main influence. And then musically, I mean, wow, what music or who hasn't influenced me or the band at some point or the other? We've kind of had our ears open to anything
right
this whole time. And you can just hear in the music, I mean, all the obvious influences,
Yeah. Did he encourage you to become a musician full time?
No. My parents were very supportive, but also, early on were hesitant for me to kind of dive into it full time. Once they saw that I was completely immersed and, committed to it, and that it was on my mind 24/7, I think they got the picture that that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, that's good. At least they supported you through that decision.
Sure.
Yeah. When you were writing songs, and I know you've answered this a couple times with other people, but how much of it is it about personal experience versus stuff that you just kind of make up on the spur of the moment when you're trying to fill lyrics into a melody?
Sure, that's a good question. Probably half and half. I find myself later in life, not so much personal lyrics going on, and more trying to make. I find it harder to come at a song lyrically with more imagination lyrically than just personal lyrics. If you look at a lot of my earlier songs, a lot of personal stuff going on there. Obviously, I'm feeling it a little bit more, in my early 20s, even into my 30s, a lot of personal stuff going on lyrically. More trying lyrically to be more adventurous.
Right.
It's hard, though. It's hard to not kind of come across. It's hard to tell a story, or maybe just a made-up story in song. But I like a lot of songs that are like that. You get a lot of that kind of sides with McCartney a lot of the times. His made-up stuff, stories, or Ray Davies too. Sure, he does that all the time. But also weaving it in so people can relate to it and be like, oh, I can kind of identify with what he's saying here, trying to do both.
Right. I mean, also, because of your longevity, I mean, geez, I don't know any band that's been around 25 years with, the same guys.
Yeah.
Usually somebody dies at this point or is replaced prior,
Sure.
So, I mean, do you have like a secret to your longevity? I know that's been asked before, but do you have any kind of secret to longevity other than you guys all love music?
That's about it. I mean, we love getting together in a room, playing music, and that's kind of what's kept the whole thing rolling, and the fact that we've had some pretty devoted fans that have kind of stuck with the band. There's a small core of a fan base that have just stuck with the band throughout our career and our ups and downs, and have just really been a great group of fans. That's kind of the whole idea behind 1,000 People Grinning. How many people have we reached, or will we continue to reach? That and all of that, and the fact that daily it feels like, even if it's just one person finding out about the band, it's kind of pushed us along to kind of, continue to enjoy the figs, to continue to discover the figs.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm doing that myself.
Ignore the figs.
Yeah, and I'm doing that myself. So, more power to you on that, and hopefully, we can promote this album for you and get some more fans your way. I know you've toured with a lot of.
Aaron.
Yeah, sure. I know you've toured with a lot of people. What was I like hearing these stories, but what was the funniest thing that happened to you on tour?
The funniest thing?
Yeah, I mean, did somebody like fall off the stage or do something silly, and that sort of made you crack
all
up?
the time. Oh man, the funniest thing that happened on tour.
Or embarrassing thing, either one.
Oh, well, I don't want to share. I don't know if I want to share either. The funniest might be the most embarrassing.
That's true. Usually it's the same thing. Who was, you were also, probably, I noticed, influenced by a lot of the people that you were playing with, particularly Graham Parker. Is there any, like, small group of musicians that you've worked with that you can say, hey, these guys changed my sound? I started this way, and these guys helped me along the way.
Well, when we first started touring a lot, there's a band from New Haven called the Gravel Pit that we started playing with a lot, and they were very influential, as far as really having their shit together,
right.
Arrangement-wise, sound-wise. Just song-wise, the writer, Jet Parrish, was just really on his game. And for me, as far as the peers, we had just finished Banda Macho, and they were coming out with this record called The Gravel Pit Manifesto, and or maybe it was when we did Lo-Fi, one of those records.
Right.
And I just remember hearing the Gravel Pit Manifesto and being just so jealous of. I just thought it was so much better than our record, sound-wise and just songs and everything. And it was, I thought. But it was great because it was not a competitive relationship between the bands, but just love between the two of us. We just all 8 of us just loved each other's bands. And we, as the years went on, we went on to, I went on to form a band with 3 of the guys in the Gravel Pit called The Gentlemen. And then, and also Jet has played with the Figs a lot on records, on stage. And then Jet's played with the Candy Butchers, when the the Hang on Mike lineup is, Pete and I, Pete Donnelly and I and Jed from the Gravel Pit. And Viola, that little group of people, very influential on me and on the band. And it's very nice to have some tight, a tight peer group to kind of bounce stuff off of.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great. Thank you. It's been so informative talking to you. And the 1,000 People Grinning is available now on your website, correct?
Yeah, we call it 1,000 People Grinning.
Okay, the 1,000 People Grinning. Best of luck on this album. I think it'll do great, and I'm definitely going to be checking out more of your back catalog since I've missed so much of it. So
thanks, Aaron. Yeah, definitely. And if you want to get a little idea of some good road stories, check out the song "Jumping Again" from the record "Follow Gene Through the Sea," and that'll give you some good road, embarrassing and funny road stories, all told by Peter Donnelly.
Oh, excellent. Thanks once again. Thank you, Mike Gent.
Thanks, Aaron. Take care.
All right, take care now. Bye-bye.